What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the Rant Review. We are covering today AEW Dynamite from this week. Of course, if you're new to the channel or you appreciate the channel, I would appreciate it if you hit the like button, the subscribe button, and the notification bell, and let other people know about this video. Thank you very much in advance. So the show starts out with a big trios match. There's a lot of excitement, a lot of action. I mean, what can you say? You got the Elite, you got Matt Sydal, you have so much crazy young talent in this ring, and just another one of these. Some may call them spot fests, some may call it gymnastics, but whatever it is, it certainly isn't boring, and it was an exciting opening match to the show. The Elite do pick up the win. However, the big story about this was what happened after. As I kind of feared, Christian Cage challenging for the AEW Championship against Kenny Omega at All Out was not going to be celebrated by fans. There are at least 3 other people that most of the fans want to see face Kenny Omega at All Out, those being Bryan Danielson, Hangman Adam Page, and CM Punk. Christian Cage, if you had noticed, is not one of those 3 people. The crowd immediately, when he came to the ring with Jurassic Express, started chanting for CM Punk. They started chanting yes. Don Callis did his best to kind of shout over top of it all, being as heelish as he possibly could be, and they did a pretty good job of tamping that down. But it was really on Christian to kind of get the crowd back in support of him, and he did a great job by having 2 real good zingers against Don Callis, which was an easy layup that he just basically dunked. He got the crowd behind him, and then we had an interesting announcement, which now makes me wonder whether or not this all-out match is actually going to happen, because on Rampage, coming up this Friday, the very first match on Rampage will be Christian versus Kenny Omega for the Impact World Championship. So that's kind of making me go, well, they're not going to do that and then a week later or 2 weeks later do the all-out pay-per-view main event. I have a feeling too Christian's going to win this match. So the things have changed up a lot, and I don't think anybody really saw that coming. I certainly didn't see it coming. So that's a good little monkey wrench. AEW continues to do this though, and even when you think they're probably doing something that's like, they find a way to make it interesting. So cool for that. Also, Jurassic Express will now be challenging next week on Dynamite the Young Bucks for the AEW Tag Team Championships. That's going to be pretty cool. The ongoing saga with Death Triangle against Andrade El Idolo continues, and as we suspected too, Pac will be taking on El Idolo at All Out. Apparently also too, we've got a focus for Penta and Phoenix to go after the Tag Team Championship, so the Tag Team World title scene is about to heat up greatly in AEW. As I apparently asked for last week, I got the match I wanted. This Red Death kid is taking on Darby Allin tonight in a match that started a little slow, but as they got into it, it was a lot better. It was what I thought it would be. A great actual wrestling match between 2 young, thin, smaller guys, which a lot of people expect them just to fly all over the place, but that wasn't what this match was. This was a combination of new style kind of catch-as-catch-can wrestling with kind of old-school catch-as-catch wrestling, and Darby Allin does get the win in the end. I think they're leading, however, to a tag match between 2.0 against Sting and Darby Allin. I wouldn't be surprised to see that either this Friday on Rampage or next week on Dynamite. We then had something that is both something that I enjoy but also don't enjoy. Dr. Britt Baker came out for an interview with Tony Schiavone in the middle of the ring. Of course, this is Pittsburgh, and there is a lot of terrible towels for Pittsburgh, because this is mainly in all support of the fact that Britt Baker will be main eventing the first ever episode of Rampage, which will be happening this Friday in Pittsburgh against Red Velvet, defending the AEW Women's Championship. Why is this something that I'm not particularly interested in? Because I'm from Baltimore and I'm a Baltimore Ravens fan, so anything involving Pittsburgh or terrible towels is not up my alley. But I do appreciate Britt Baker. I'm going to be a Ravens fan for life, man. But I appreciate Dr. Britt Baker and the fact that she's so over. Cutting another wonderful, absolutely fantastic promo here. And then Red Velvet came out there at the end of it. Looked like Britt Baker owed her money. She was really, they were going at it pretty well. And that was a good setup for this match coming up. Also in the women's division, we had Nyla Rose against Kris Statlander, which is kind of a rematch from the Revolution 2020 AEW Women's Championship match. This time, despite the fact that Vicky Guerrero basically screamed down Orange Cassidy outside the ring, which was actually pretty funny. But Statlander won this match in spectacular fashion and thus moves herself on to become the potential next challenger. Well, she will be the next challenger, most likely at All Out for the AEW Women's Championship, depending on who wins the match coming up on Friday. I think this is a good setup to have Britt Baker and Kris Statlander and headlining this main event matchup for the AEW Women's Championship. I think the card is starting to take shape for All Out. I'm enjoying what they're doing so far. The only thing, again, the women's division, they don't have a lot of storylines set up for it. There's really no emotional attachment outside of the fact that basically everybody loves Britt Baker, and there are a lot of fans of Kris Statlander, so it will be at least a match that fans will have an interest in when it happens at All Out. The Young Bucks had a very funny backstage segment that was corny, but it was also, I also chuckled because them and Cutler were backstage talking about how they were the greatest, blah, 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 and they were going to slam dunk. Luchasaurus comes out and blocks Nick Jackson's shot, then Jungle Boy comes in and he slams dunks it himself, and then they walk off, and it's a comedy skit. Nick complaining that, you know, it was a foul, and it's Cutler goes, actually, no, that was all ball. Shut up, Cutler. And I had a chuckle at that one. Again, I'm not usually for the silly stuff, but this was silly enough that it actually was funny. So I'll give this one a pass. There's some other silly stuff they did on the show that I'm not giving a pass to. The Matt Hardy group, I don't know what's going on with them. That didn't work too well for me. I'm a little bit mixed, and apparently so was the crowd in Pittsburgh over Paul White coming down and saving Tony Schiavone and his kid, because QT Marshall led his little group of weirdos. They were supposed to have this apology that they've been building up for the last 2 or 3 weeks to Tony Schiavone. Schiavone, I didn't even know his son wanted to be a wrestler. They brought Schiavone's son into the ring and started punching him, kind of holding him, and they held Schiavone, and Schiavone's like, all right, here's your apology, you son of a bitch. The interesting thing about it is the person that performed the best in this entire segment was Tony Schiavone. Everybody else, not so much. So Paul White comes down to very little fanfare. Yeah, it's unfortunate, but it's kind of cool to see him finally get into the ring and get some action. So obviously this is leading up to him having his first official AEW match. And as long as this is what Paul White is doing, I mean, it's a familiar face. It adds a little something to the show. I mean, I'm not wild about it. I don't think too many people are going to be like, yeah, I can't wait to see that. But it's not boring. I'll put it that way. In our main event, we had the fourth labor of Jericho where he took on Wardlow. This match was not much to write home about. Essentially, the whole story of the match is Wardlow was beating the crap out of Jericho. Jericho is very tired. He's having a very hard time doing some of these moves. Wardlow almost dropped him a couple of times because Jericho is not able to. I think the thing is that Jericho might not have the core strength to do some of these moves anymore, which is why not just him, but Juventud and even Nick Gage were having a hard time doing some of these moves with Jericho. You saw even in the powerbomb that Jericho didn't have the core strength to pull himself up, and Wardlow had to kind of muscle him up into the powerbomb. So it's being told, and a lot of people may be right, this may be Chris Jericho's retirement tour. However, in a well-booked ending, MJF tries to get into the ring with that, what did he call her? That floozy that he calls the referee. So she got him out of there, kicked him out. Meanwhile, Jericho took the time to take the advantage while Aubrey was throwing out MJF, got Floyd the Bat, hit good old Wardlow in the face with the bat, then hit a Judas effect and got the 1-2-3. A bunch of run-ins later with Sammy Guevara and Sam Spears and Jake Hager, and then, we got a little standoff between 3/5 of both of the factions, the Inner Circle and the Pinnacle. MJF at the end of the show then reveals the stipulations for the 5th and final challenge, trial, whatever we want to call them, for Chris Jericho, which he'll be facing MJF next week, but he cannot have the Judas effect. He cannot have the Judas song. In fact, he can't have anything revolving Judas. He can't even say the word Judas or he'll lose the match, apparently. I think they're going to have to probably make it more storyline driven. And I'm absolutely predicting that MJF's going to win this match next week. But then again, they could surprise us. So overall, this was a okay edition of AEW Dynamite. It's certainly not as good as the stuff that they've been having over the last 2 months. Not as exciting as the ending last week with Malachi Black and Cody. But it's an okay show. Again, we're heading into a pay-per-view, and they've got a lot of it feels like they're holding back because they've got a lot of big shows that they've got coming out. All Out, the Rampage debut, the Chicago show, the Arthur Ashe Stadium show that we all also can't forget about. So I think over the next couple weeks, Dynamite's going to be okay. There's still exciting shows. They're just nothing like the crazy streak they went on when they had 3 or 4 weeks in a row where Dynamite was amazing. So they're not terrible. They're okay. I'm going to give this one an okay. You can check it out if you want to, but it's not a must-see show. But I want to know what you guys think about this. Let your voice be heard in the comment box below. Until next time, if you like this video, again, hit that like button, the subscribe button, and the notification bell, and share this video on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Reddit, wherever you talk about all Elite Wrestling, AEW Dynamite, and wrestling in general. I'll see you guys next time for more news, rumors, and reviews here on the Rantin Review Pro Wrestling. Have a good day.